All content is publicly sourced and used under the USA Fair Use and UK Fair Dealing Guidelines. The things I say are strictly my opinion. Good afternoon, you guys. It's the Bizzy Bee with the Royal Tea. I did some thinking, and today I am going to review the first half of Chapter 2 of Lady C's book, and the second chapter basically goes into Harry and Meghan's life from the time they're born until they both graduate from college. So the first half goes over Meghan's, the second half Harry's. I'll do the first half Meghan's life today. I'm not going to just sit here and read the whole thing to you guys, but I read the book, I read the chapter, I highlighted what I thought was important, and I went through there earlier and I wrote down a summary of everything I had highlighted. I just wrote down some bullet points. So I'm just going to give you those bullet points, the things I thought were important about Meghan's upbringing. Before I get started, I had a comment. Bizzy Bee, when are you going live? From LibSkipper3. I responded, I'm waiting for something to arrive in the mail that I want to show everyone. Not sure how long, as they have still not shipped it as of today. Well, you guys, that is absolutely true. I ordered something about 2 weeks ago almost. Well, 3 things actually. I haven't received any of them. And yesterday I got an email from one of the people I ordered it from on eBay, and she said, I still haven't shipped it. I'm sorry, do you still want it, or I can refund you the money? I said, ship it. So anyway. And then Christina said, looking forward to it. Also looking forward to your history videos. Well, you guys, I have not forgotten about this. I mentioned it several videos ago. I'm going to do this. I'm pulling together the research for it right now. I'm going to start with the Norman Conquest, the monarchs from there, William I and his wife Matilda of Flanders. I ordered some books about them. I'm doing the research right now. I'm going to put together the video. It's taken longer than I thought because, man, it's a lot of research. So, let's get into Chapter 2, the early part of Meg's life from birth to college. So, the book states, and this is my summary of it, you guys. If you want the exact wording, go and buy the book. The book states that the failing of both of their parents' marriage, Harry and Meghan, both sets of couples were mismatched, their parents. Had this not been true, then Harry and Meghan wouldn't be as compatible as they are. So the book goes on to talk about Thomas Markle. You know, he was not famous, but he was a lighting director. He won some Emmys. He won one in 1975 for his work on a show called Made in Chicago. And then he won 2 for his work on General Hospital in 1985 and 2001. And he was also nominated many times for Married with Children. He met Doria while she was a temp at the studio. They were married for 1 year and 9 months when Meghan was born. They moved into a house in the Valley in LA after they were married. And he made about $200,000 per year, so he made a pretty decent income. Doria often got mistaken for Meghan's nanny, unfortunately, which caused tension in the relationship with her and Thomas. And Meghan was Doria's first and only child. Thomas, the father, worshipped Meghan. Everyone called her his flower, and he called her his flower. Doria was allegedly jealous of Meghan and Thomas's relationship. Tom worked a lot. When he was at home, he made a big deal out of Meghan, but neglected Doria, which caused tensions to develop between Tom and Doria, and they split when Meghan was 2 years old. Doria moved in with her mother. Doria allegedly realized after the divorce that maybe men weren't her thing, and she's lived a very private life since then. So, going on to Meghan's identity. In elementary school, she did not deny her African roots, but she did not shy away from her Caucasian ones either. She was not obviously mixed race, and the only parent everyone at school saw was Thomas, so everyone naturally assumed that she was white, since Thomas was the only one they saw. No one remembers No one remembers Meghan ever volunteering info on her race. She did not actively conceal it, but avoided the subject. She didn't actively deny her African heritage. She was fond of Doria and Doria's family, but she didn't actively assert her heritage into conversations, etc. And a quote from someone at her school: "Circumstances forced her into being something of a lone wolf, and lone wolves make the best hunters." No, I'm sorry, that's not from someone at her school. That's a quote from Lady C. That's exactly the way Lady C said it. She was a lone wolf, and lone wolves make the best hunters, Meghan. And Meghan's determination was obvious to everyone as she was growing up. She didn't shy away from challenges, but embraced them, and she even sought them out. Like Princess Diana, both she and Meghan saw their parents help the less fortunate, but it was through their early school years that both women made charity work an established practice. Meghan spent 1.5 years working in a soup kitchen on Skid Row in LA. Now, this is a quote from one of the people who worked at the soup kitchen with her. The people at the kitchen said what a natural she was. She knew everyone's names. Meghan could show care to strangers. Now, this is a psychological observance from Lady C. She could show care to strangers, but not her own father. As Meghan got older, her dad needed more care, and she couldn't do it. Her parents had always taken care of her, and she didn't like having those roles reversed. This gives invaluable insight into Meghan's character, that she will do for strangers what she refuses to do for family. In the soup kitchens, there's no gray area. You're either poor and needy, or you're there to help the poor and needy. The interaction, Lady C says, is impersonal in terms of identity, while being intensely personal within the moment. It's gratifying for giver and recipient, and explains why many people who feel alienated work with the less fortunate. Meghan used to admit that her father, Thomas Markle, was the one who instilled in her the belief that she could achieve anything. Even members of Meghan's family contribute her self-confidence to him. Now, it goes on to talk about the Ivory soap commercial, you guys. And it says, like all myths, the story just doesn't add up. The numbers within the story don't add up. Well, to briefly summarize it, in 1995, Meg saw an Ivory ad, and it said, "Women all over America are fighting greasy pots and pans." The account Meghan gave of it at the United Nations conference while she was still an unknown actress goes something like this. "2 boys from my class told me women belong in the kitchen. I felt angry and hurt. I felt that something had to be done." Well, Thomas, her father, encouraged her to write letters of complaint. She wrote to First Lady Hillary Clinton, outspoken women's rights lawyer and advocate Gloria Allred, and Procter & Gamble, the manufacturers of Ivory soap. Hillary and Gloria responded, just the typical responses that their offices would send out when they receive a letter, kind of like the Queen of England sends out, her lady-in-waiting sends out a letter when somebody writes to her. Nothing special. Ivory didn't send her anything back. Meghan claimed 1 month later they replaced the offensive line with "people all over America are fighting greasy pots and pans." She believed that she was responsible for the change. She said at the UN, and I quote, "It was at that moment that I realized the magnitude of my actions. At the age of 11, I had created my small level of impact by standing up for equality." Well, there are 4 problems with Meghan's scenario, and guess what, you guys? Buckingham Palace discovered all 4 of them after Harry and Meghan got serious, and they did a background check on Meghan. Number 1, Meghan was not 11 in 1995, but 14 years old. Number 2, Hillary Clinton was not First Lady in 1992 when Meghan was 11, but became First Lady in 1993 when Meghan was 12. Number 3, there is no evidence that Meghan's letter altered a thing. Ivory did change the line, but it is super presumptuous of Meghan to assume it was because of one letter written by an 11 or 14-year-old girl. And the last thing, number 4, no advertising agency could replace an advertisement in a month. Advertisements take months to prepare. Meghan had said hers was one of if Meghan had said that hers was one of many letters that led to the change, if she had not provided such a tight timeline that could be misproven, she would have firmer ground to stand on. The facts, presented as they were, undermined her claims and opened her up to suspicions. Now, I'm going to give you guys a direct quote from the book. This is from page 25 of the book. This is what a courtier said about the incident. Typical Hollywood type, always pushing herself forward in the most obvious manner, when a more modest and realistic approach would have indicated integrity. As it is, when one watches the tape of that speech, one winces at her rank egotism, not to mention the naivete displayed by some Hollywood types who think because they have said that black is white and pink is green, everyone accepts this fiction as fact. So, that was the end of the quote. This incident allowed Meghan to believe her actions had a bigger impact than they really did, and it caused others who would have viewed her oh my gosh, I have sloppy handwriting. It caused others who would have viewed her neutrally to suspect her of inflating herself beyond her own natural right. Self-promotion and exaggeration are viewed as suspicious in royal and aristocratic circles. And it was proof that Meghan was prone to exaggeration and showed everyone she exaggerated and dramatized things in a way that the British find suspect. Meghan's best friend from childhood, Nikki Pretty, said this: "Attention, approbation, and applause have always been driving forces for her." Nikki also said that Doria was a free spirit who danced around the house, and she had to tell Meg to loosen up occasionally. Meg was already displaying that intensity that would take her far, but would interfere with her enjoyment of life unless she kept it in check. And Doria was more strict than Tom. Tom was not strict at all. She was a star, however, to both of her parents. So Doria was the stricter force in her life, and Tom was the parent who was much more loose and carefree. The BFF from childhood, Nikki, also stated, "Meg always wanted to be famous. She loved to be the center of attention. We used to imagine her receiving an Oscar," unquote. Now, let me read something to you from page 28 of the book that I thought was interesting. Here it is, page 28. This is something that Nikki said as well, her best friend from childhood. "The royal family was something she found fascinating." You guys, she had never heard of the royal family before. Best friend from childhood, contradicting that right here. She goes on to say, "She had one of Princess Diana's books on her bookshelf. She watched Diana's funeral, was moved to tears, as were her friends, and so obsessed did she become that she and another friend, Susie, got a hold of old videos of Diana's 1981 wedding to Charles and decided to emulate her humanitarian example by collecting clothes and toys to be distributed to less fortunate children. The lesson she was learning was that the most stylish and glamorous women show how special they are, not only in their personal presentation, but through humanitarianism. She found her role model, and she used to love the Princess Diaries, films about a commoner who were part of a royal family. She was very taken with that idea. She wanted to be Princess Diana 2.0, Nikki Pretty said. Okay, so the book goes on about how Thomas won $750,000 in the California lottery, and he spent most of it on a bad investment in a jewelry business, but he indulged his children with the rest of it. He had 2 children before his marriage to Doria, and then the one with Doria, Meghan, obviously. At 11, Meghan went to Immaculate Heart High School, where she threw herself into dramatics. Meghan wanted to be a star, and her dad wanted that for her as well. The school knew him as an Emmy award-winning lighting director, so Meghan offered his services for every play that she was in, and the school loved it. It didn't say for any play that they had, any play that she was in. She was already learning the benefit of when you have something besides talent to help achieve your goals. Her dad also helped Meghan learn what works and what does not on stage. He taught her about finding the light on the stage, where to stand, even what angle to use for the best maximum effect. He also took a ton of pictures of her so she could see for herself what he meant when he told her to do this or not do that. It was invaluable practice because it takes most actors a lifetime to learn these things. She had many boyfriends also as a teenager. And here's a quote from page 30 and 31 of the book. In the meantime, the young Meghan availed herself of a series of willing beaux from St. Francis, which was a boys' school not far from Immaculate Heart. And at the age of 16, narrowed them down to Luis Segura, her first serious boyfriend, and I'll show some pictures of him at the end. A Latino who had a reputation as a natty dresser. They were together for 2 years. She was friends with his whole family and was encouraged by all of them to put herself forward as St. Francis's homecoming queen. Although unknown in Britain, in the U.S., homecoming queens were and remain big deals in high schools, and Meghan went all out to win, writing an essay on her work at the hippie kitchen and charming as many people as possible to vote for her. She won, and, bedecked in a pale blue strapless satin gown and tiara, Queen Meghan was accompanied by a phalanx of courtiers to the ball by Louisa's younger brother Danny, natty in a tuxedo with a wing-collared shirt and a ready-made black bow tie. All right. So it goes on that Meghan took success in stride. She remained the same sweet girl who was nice to everyone. She treated her success in high school as no big deal because she felt she deserved it. And she thought that she would later on, after college, be a huge star. So this was just her first taste. So it was really no big deal. And then another quote from page 31 about Meghan's success in high school. In the 1997 program notes for Stephen Sondheim's musical Into the Woods, in which Meghan played Little Red Riding Hood, she also stated that she wanted to attend Northwestern University outside Chicago, as it would be a first step on her journey to Broadway. In her final yearbook, she went a step further and described herself as classy, a word which would remain a firm favorite of hers, and whose meaning meant much to her in a practical as well as philosophical terms. To underscore her ambition and self-belief, she illustrated her photograph with a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt. It said, "Women are like tea bags. They don't realize how strong they are until they're in hot water." My goodness, you guys, that's not the first quote she stole from Eleanor Roosevelt, is it? I believe when we played Ask Archie, did Meghan say that in the Yacht Girl games? We saw that she copied a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt. So, Meghan and Tom had ambition for her and did whatever they could to help her chances, Meghan and her father. They had expensive orthodontic work and plastic surgery to fix the tip of her nose. However, over time, the surgery became noticeable as the cartilage between the tip and bone drooped, leading to a ski jump effect, which, ironically, Harry naturally has. Meghan graduated from Immaculate Heart in 1999 with several awards. Number 1, the Notre Dame Club of Los Angeles Achievement Award. 2, the Bank of America Fine Arts Award. 3, a commendation in the National Achievement Scholarship Program. And 4, an award for mentoring young students. Meghan had 3 scholarship offers, but had her heart set on Illinois's Northwestern and Doria and Tom taught her that what Meghan wants, Meghan gets. Northwestern University's fees were over $50,000 per year in today's money, and they ranked ninth among American universities. Tom, her father, took out bank loans and worked extra hours to pay her tuition. Oh, but he's such a bad dad nowadays, she can't even have a relationship with him. But he stretched himself to the limits to pay for her to go to the college she wanted when she had 3 scholarship offers on the table but didn't want any of them. Hogwash on her. She's just full of fibs. Okay, Meghan wanted to be a Broadway star, yet she chose English as a major. Now, you guys, this choice says that she was not as confident as she seemed, or that she was so confident that she felt she did not need to specialize in her chosen field. At college, she wore more makeup than her parents allowed her to in California, and she even highlighted her hair. She also joined a sorority, Kappa Kappa Gamma, and it was full of, quote, intelligent, hot girls. They were all intelligent, driven, and ambitious, as well as heavy partiers and, doing what partiers do quite a bit. She fit in so well that she was elected to chair recruitment for the sorority. And here's a quote from pages 33 and 34 of the book. Let me see here. 33 and 34, you guys. All right. As Meghan tells it, this story's a doozy. You gotta hear this. As Meghan tells it, she had one disadvantage most of her sisters did not. Northwestern was primarily Caucasian. Most of the students came from white environments. They were not used to interracial interaction. She recounted to Elle magazine how she had to navigate, quote, closed-mindedness to the tune of a dorm mate I met my first week at university who asked if my parents were still together. You said your mom is black and your father is white, right? She asked me. I smiled meekly, waiting for what could possibly come out of her pursed lips next. She said they're divorced. I nodded. Oh well, that makes sense, the girl said. To this day, I don't fully understand what she meant by that, but I understood the implication, and I drew back. I was scared to open this Pandora's box of discrimination, so I stifled, swallowing my voice. Unquote. Someone who knows Meghan well from childhood warns against taking these defining moments too literally. She has always had a propensity to embellish. That sounds like Meghan, to draw dramatic lessons out of the most anodyne events. And especially since she became a public figure to use poetical license to highlight a point she wishes to make, but which might not actually have happened the way she recounts it. Since investigation has never been able to turn up this racist dorm mate, notwithstanding the fact that there are records of which students shared quarters, it seems likely that this story is rather apocryphal than reminiscent. Her friend explains, the way to tell is how neatly Meghan's reminiscences fit the story. Meg's inventions are too tailor-made to be reliable. People just don't act the way she says. Once you know her, you can tell which stories are Meghan and which really happened. Alright, unquote, you guys. There's no proof she had any racial issues. The proof shows she was widely accepted and that she flourished, in fact. As a freshman, she was popular with the boys. Oh, yes, she was. She had one of the hottest guys on campus, the white 6'5" basketball player from Ohio, Steve Lepore. And I'll show a picture of him at the end as well. He was just as driven as she was, but more interested in fitness. At the end of the academic year, he transferred to a university in North Carolina. He is now an assistant coach on Eastern Kentucky University's men's basketball staff. He is married with a daughter. The relationship was not serious enough for Meghan to follow him, and she replaced him quickly. She formed 3 friendships at college. One was with Lindsay Roth, an attractive blonde with Jewish lawyer parents from a well-to-do Long Island town that has a population of less than 2,000. Of those 2,000, less than 2,000, 94% are white. Lindsay and Meghan kept in touch. Lindsay eventually became a producer for Larry King Now and various other TV shows. Meanwhile, Meghan struggled after college until she finally landed the role in Suits. When Lindsay married an Englishman named Gavin Jordan in 2016, Meghan was her matron of honor. When Meghan married Trevor Ingleson in 2011, however, she chose Nikki Pretty, her best friend from childhood, as her maid of honor, not Lindsay. Her second friend was her sorority sister, Genevieve Hillis. The other one was Larnell Quentin Foster, an African-American closeted gay son of pastors. After a short time, Meghan realized she had chosen the wrong major. She changed to theater arts and international relations. She wanted to be a stage star. All right, this is a quote from page 36 and 37 of the book. At no time did she consider that hers would be an ordinary life, one of her old-time friends who asked to remain anonymous said. She intended to be a high flyer no matter what she did. She could envisage herself as a Broadway or film star, or an ambassador, or a diplomat whose actions would change the world while improving humanity. All right, well, so it goes on, my summary of the book. Her dad's oldest brother, Michael, was a State Department operative and allegedly in the CIA. He was well connected in the State Department. Meghan asked him to find her an internship with the U.S. Embassy abroad. He knew the American ambassador in Buenos Aires. He talked to him and got her an internship. She was offered a 6-week-long internship at the American Embassy in Buenos Aires, Argentina's capital. She did what Lady C terms donkey work, making copies, writing letters, generally making herself useful. Her superior thought she was efficient and ingenious. However, attitude and personality were not enough to secure a position with the State Department. She had to pass the Foreign Service Officer test. She took it in Argentina but failed. She went on to Madrid after the internship ended for a 6-week Spanish course. The knowledge which she learned in it would later serve her useful. She never retook the exam. She decided her future was in acting. To Meghan, a State Department diplomat role doesn't have the same pizzazz as being a film star. That first taste of failure, though, was one she would experience time and again throughout her 20s. Shining brightly in high school and college was not a precursor for worldly success in Meghan's case. She graduated from Northwestern with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Theater and International Studies. All right, you guys, that's where it leaves off on Meghan's early life. The second part of the chapter is about Harry's early life, and a lot of it covers the relationship between Charles and Diana, which is really old news, I think, but I'll do the summary of it pretty soon. Thank you guys for watching. Let me see what else I have. Oh, yes, the boyfriends. Here we go. The comedy writer. There's the basketball player, Steve Lepore. All right. And that guy at the top right-hand corner there in the gray suit, Simon Rex, he was an MTV video introducer, video jockey in the 1990s. Oh my goodness, I thought he was just the bee's knees. I really did. I thought he was amazing. But anyway, that only lasted a short time though. Here's Luis, the one she dated for 2 years in high school, Luis Segura. Another picture of them together. This is him today. And him today as well. Oh, look at there. He likes red potatoes. I use those as well. Now here's the basketball coach, Steve Lepore, that she dated for a short time in college. And there he is. All right. Hello, sir. Well, you guys, the 4 doggos, my P.O. box, if you want to send them treats or whatever, just make sure you send them directly from the company. You know how the sugars are. And there you go. If you want to tweet me, there's my tweet information. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, and hit the notification button. Also, please tell your friends about me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you again. And have a good afternoon. Bye-bye, you guys.